Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to another video. Without further ado, let's dive into another round of news from America's team. Today, we'll discuss some important changes and predictions for the Dallas Cowboys as they enter the bye week. Two Cowboys players are set to see a diminishing role in the coming weeks, and that's something that's being closely watched by fans and analysts alike. In a typical week, the Dallas Cowboys players and coaches would be preparing for an upcoming game, but instead, they're getting some much-needed time off. This week marks the Cowboys' Week 7 bye, and there's a general consensus that it could not have come at a better time for the organization. It's been a turbulent start to the season, and no one needs to be reminded of the difficulties the Cowboys have faced so far. The owner of the team, Jerry Jones, even made headlines by threatening to fire reporters, which shows just how heated things have become behind the scenes. Between the off-field drama, the relentless injury bug that's affected key players, and some noticeable issues with the roster, it's clear that the team needed a break. This off week will give the coaching staff a valuable opportunity to reevaluate the roster and make some much-needed adjustments. Above all else, this time off allows the team to reflect and plan for the second half of the season. The Cowboys' current record is 3-3, with a tough opponent, the San Francisco 49ers, on the horizon. The team is also facing key injuries, but some players are starting to heal. Given this, it's clear that changes are needed when it comes to player roles and playing time. With that in mind, let's take a closer look at two Cowboys players, one from the offense and one from the defense, who are likely to see a reduction in their playing time following this bye week. These are decisions that could shape the team's future as they prepare for the second half of the season. Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott's position as the starting running back for the Cowboys is officially up for debate, and at this point, it's clear that he is no longer the answer at running back in 2024. Now, let me start by saying this. I have a deep respect for Ezekiel Elliott. He is one of my all-time favorite Cowboys players, and I've followed his career closely from the very beginning. However, we must also be able to acknowledge when a player's performance is no longer up to the standard that the team needs, especially as the season progresses. Some fans may wonder if Elliott's struggles are due to performance issues, his age, or the rise of younger talent in the backfield. The reality is that it's a combination of all these factors. For starters, we can no longer ignore the fact that Elliott is struggling with declining production. While some fans might attribute his lackluster performance to a lack of opportunities or offensive line issues, the truth is that Elliott is simply not the same player he used to be. He's currently facing career lows in rushing success rate, yards per carry, and total yards per game. To put it into perspective, Elliott's longest rush of the season, after nearly 40 attempts, is just a yard long. That speaks volumes about his diminishing explosiveness and ability to break through the line of scrimmage. And it's not just about the lack of big runs. His overall effectiveness as a running back has taken a noticeable hit. In addition to his performance struggles, Elliott's age is becoming a significant factor. At 29 years old, with over 2,100 carries on his legs, it's hard to expect him to maintain a high level of play. The wear and tear from years of heavy usage has started to show, and sustained performance at the top level is simply no longer feasible. The body can only handle so much before it starts to give way. Perhaps the most telling factor in Elliott's declining role is the rise of another running back on the roster, Rico Dowdle. Dowdle has been steadily gaining traction as the Cowboys' most effective and dynamic running back. It's time for the coaching staff, led by Mike McCarthy, to realize this and make the change. Dowdle is younger, faster, and more explosive at this stage in the season. In their Week 8 matchup with the San Francisco 49ers, Dowdle demonstrated his ability to carry the load, with a career-best game that saw him outperform Elliott's best rushing performance of the year. This isn't just a small sample size. Dowdle has clearly proven that he has the tools to be a lead back for this team. As a result, it's no longer a debate about who is the better running back. Elliott simply can't keep up with Dowdle's energy and production at this point in the season. I'm hopeful that this bye week will give the coaching staff the time they need to move on from the nostalgia surrounding Elliott's past successes and focus on what's best for the future of the team. Amani Oruwariye. On the defensive side of the ball, Amani Oruwariye has had an interesting journey with the Cowboys. This cornerback, who was initially drafted by the Detroit Lions in 2019, has had a chance to make a name for himself in Dallas, especially in the wake of injuries to other key players. His role has grown over the past few weeks, and he has seen a significant amount of playing time. In fact, in Week 6, Oruwariye played the most defensive snaps of any Cowboys player, with a total of 65 snaps. This was more than linebacker Damone Clark, 63, and safeties Malik Hooker, 57, and Donovan Wilson, 56. This wasn't just a fluke. Since Week 4, Oruwariye has consistently been in the top 10 or even the top 5 for total defensive snaps for the Cowboys. Oruwariye's rise to prominence was largely due to injuries to key players like Darren Bland and rookie Kelvin Joseph, as well as the struggles of Andrew Booth Jr. However, as these players start to return to full strength, Oruwariye's role is likely to diminish. Once Bland and Joseph are back, Oruwariye could fall from second on the depth chart to fourth or even fifth, behind other cornerbacks like Trayvon Diggs, Bland, Joseph, and Jordan Lewis. This is the nature of the NFL. Opportunities come and go. Unfortunately for Oruwariye, his moment in the spotlight may be coming to an end. While he was a great story for a few weeks, it's time for the Cowboys to turn their attention back to their healthier and more established cornerbacks. Oruwariye will likely return to a depth role in the secondary, and while his contribution has been valuable, the team's overall goals will take priority. Cowboys predicted to add a record-setting game-breaker to fill major hole. If there's a silver lining to this season, it could come in the form of the NFL Draft. While we may not see the benefits of this for another 6 months, the Cowboys may have the opportunity to add an elite playmaker to their roster. Despite the current struggles, Dallas is still in a relatively good position with a 3-3 record, though they are facing the 7th toughest schedule for the remainder of the season. This means that the team will need to make adjustments and improvements in order to make a push for the playoffs. The NFC East is still very much within reach, as the Washington Commanders are only 1 game ahead of the Cowboys, and the Eagles are struggling just as much as Dallas. The Giants, while slightly better, are still a team with their own challenges. This puts the Cowboys in a position where they could still fight for a playoff spot and potentially draft an impactful player next year. One player that's been generating a lot of buzz is Boise State's Ashton Janey. If you haven't heard of him yet, let me catch you up. Janey is having a historic season, chasing Barry Sanders' single-season rushing record. He has accumulated 1,248 yards rushing in just 6 games and has scored 17 touchdowns, leading the nation in both categories. His 9.9 yards per carry and 28.0 yards per game average put him in a position to potentially break Sanders' all-time record of 2,628 rushing yards in a season. According to ESPN's latest mock draft by Jordan Reed, the Cowboys are predicted to select Janey at number 15 overall. Reed sees Janey as an immediate game-changer for the Cowboys, offering explosive playmaking ability as both a runner and a receiver out of the backfield. Janey's 841 yards after contact this season leads all players in the FBS, and his dominance is evident in every game he plays. With the Cowboys struggling to find consistency in their offense, Janey could provide the spark they need for years to come. What do you think of these developments? Leave your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates. See you later.